All right, welcome everyone. My name is Kiara Lyons. I am the Member Services Associate with CCS, and today I will be leading our Introduction to PowerPAC training. So Waukegan was actually my home childhood library, so that's super exciting for me. And I've also gotten the opportunity to meet so many incredible Mount Prospect staff in person already, so it feels so great to be joined by you all today and joining CCS in the fall. So thank you all for being here. Like we said, there's a lot to cover today, lots to learn. But if you have any questions, please feel free to come off mute and ask, or you can drop it in the chat. A few maintenance things. After our session, I will be emailing out an attendance sheet. So if you're here live, please complete that sheet so we know that you were here. And again, I'm also recording the session so that we can post it on CCS's YouTube page for your reference and to share out with anyone who was not able to attend live. All right. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about what we are covering today. We will start by talking about our PowerPAC and what it is.
No, it's on Zoom.
We will get a
If
tour
you
of our interface and learn how patrons will log in and access their accounts. We will also review how to search and work with those results. And then we'll jump into how patrons can manage their holds and how you as staff can support them in that. I'll pause after each section for questions. Feel free to add them in the chat whenever. Feel free to come off mute. Mieko's here and she's going to be monitoring the chat, so we will answer those questions, I promise. At the end, we'll also have a little bit of time for questions, so if you want to wait until then or you want to stay after, please feel free to do that. If you attended the session last week with Mieko, Introduction to CCS, we spoke about how we'll be working on our training interface. So this is not our live site yet, but it's a great place for staff to be able to see the PowerPAC and what it'll look like in the fall. Today, we're going to be practicing on Mount Prospect's PowerPAC. So what you're viewing isn't the live site yet, and it's still in progress, but it should have a lot of the customizations that you requested.
Mute everybody.
Waukegan staff, here, let me take a look. Miko, are you able to do that for us? It looks like we are.
Okay, I did mute everyone. I accidentally muted Kiara too. Apologies.
I just have it now. I am now unmuted. Thank you, Miko. All right. Let's take a look. Yes, so we are working on our training PowerPack. So it might look a little different in the fall, but it should have all of your customizations in place already. And Waukegan staff, your PowerPack is gonna look very similar to Mount Prospect, so this demo will still provide a very strong introduction for you. But if you have any questions about your specific PowerPack, please let me know. So let's begin with what the PowerPack is and what it does. So this is going to be your library's new catalog. Each library will have their own page, and this is where patrons will discover, find, locate their library material, and also be able to search CCS's whole catalog and all of the material available within CCS libraries. They will also be able to place and manage requests by logging into their own account in the pack. Again, like I mentioned earlier, libraries can choose how to customize their own PowerPacks, so they may look a little different across libraries. So here we have just screenshots of Mount Prospect and Waukegan, and you can see that the colors reflect your own branding, your logo sizes can differ. It's really what you want it to look like. All right, we are going to now hop into that Mount Prospect PowerPack training site to review the interface together. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be working on our training PowerPack, and we can see this by looking at our URL and seeing the CCS-training. If there's ever anything that your library staff would like to see mocked up, this is where we would test that for you and where you can view it before you decide, yep, this is what we want it to look like, and have it in production for your patrons' use. So let us begin by reviewing our header. Up at the top, we have language. This changes the PAC's features, such as our menus, but it's important to note that it will not change the language in any of the records or any customized text. So if I choose Spanish, we can see that we have information, buscar, mi cuenta, ayuda, but all of the titles and all of the specific dashboard text stays the same. The next drop-down that you may see is a library tab that would live right here. This allows patrons to change across CCS library catalogs, and a library can decide if they want to include this drop-down or not, so this is why we don't see it here. But if you are at another CCS library, you may see that drop-down, and you might see Mount Prospect listed on that list. And then lastly, we have this large text for accessibility that a patron can click, and regular text if they want to click back. All right, next we have our catalog home, which is this home page. We start off with our library logo up at the top. And if you click on it, it'll link back to the library's website. Next, we have our headers, so our navigation menu. Again, customizable to whatever you need to link to external websites and any resources for your library. So for now, library info has catalog home, which would just send us back to this page. The search tab brings down different ways that your patron can search the catalog. My account, we will go over in greater detail later, but this is where your patron will navigate and manage their account. And lastly, this really helpful tool menu provides resources on how to use the library catalog. So if your patron ever has questions on advanced searches, on creating saved searches, this provides a tutorial on that. Okay, on the left here, these are called our content dashboards, and they are made up of little content boxes with information that your library may want to highlight. So for example, if your library wants to show, I'm going to log out real quick so I can show you. If your library wants to show patrons how to register for a library card, they could just click that there. If they want to highlight their library of things, they can do that here. And again, totally customizable, and it will link out to those sites that you want to display. These in the center of our page are called our content carousels. They contain group records called record sets that are on a rotating visual display for up to 50 records. Many of our libraries choose to display this New York Times bestseller. So we have the bestseller fiction, nonfiction, and children. But you can also choose to customize this by any themes that your library wants to highlight. We have some libraries that change it up monthly. So for example, one of my personal favorites was a carousel named National Cheese Day is June 4th, where they display cookbooks and other nonfiction texts all about cheese. So again, this is totally up to what your library wants to display, and CCS staff can support in changing those up for you. You can also add custom content to be displayed on this page if you want to highlight services or events such as your summer reading graphics. And this graphic can then again link back to your library's website. So I have Grace Lake up as an example where you can see that their summer reading challenge graphic is here. And if we click on it, it would take us to their summer reading page. All right, back to Mount Prospect's page. The last thing I'll cover here is the footer. It's just here for easy accessibility and navigation. It's the same language, library information, search, account, and help. So I'm going to pause to see if there are any questions about this so far.
We had one question if staff are able to access their account on the PowerPAC site. And then Michelle very helpfully shared out the links to the training pack.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Please let me know if there's a follow-up there. If you're able to log in or if you're not, let me know. All right. Was that it for now, Miyako?
Yeah, that looks like it for now.
Thank you so much. All right, then we will continue on. So Now that we have reviewed our home, we can jump into what it'll look like for your patrons or for your staff to log in. So up at the top right of our page is this login button, and we'll go ahead and click on it. And so your patrons will log in by inputting their library card number here and their password, which by default should be the last 4 digits of their patron phone number. So I will be working with the test Mount Prospect patron account, just as a heads up. It might look a little different from what you see on your end. We will log in. Okay. Again, they're logging in with their username, with their barcode and their password, but they can change this once they've logged in. So I'm going to start off there. Once they're logged in, they can move over to the My Record here on the left side of our page. Click on My Record and come down to where we see Change Logon all the way at the bottom. If we open this up, we can see the option to change our username and change our password. If we decide to change our username, we have to click and include that information. If we want to change our password, same thing, we have to check it and include that new information. And then we will press save. Patrons have to remember to press save or else it won't be changed. Oh, I see a question pop up about the passwords. Miyako, do you know an answer? Can we change password to PIN to be consistent across platforms?
Um, I know the libraries all use like shared language on the pack. So we'll double check and verify and see if that is an option.
Okay. And I see a few more questions. I'm going to go ahead and hop on them before we move on. So if we want to link to specific pages on our website, such as recommendation lists that we have curated, where would the most likely live in our homepage? I think that it is completely up to you on where you want to include it. So if you would like to include it in a dashboard, here, I'll pop back over there so we can take a look. You can create a dashboard that includes those links. If you want patrons to be able to see it, a carousel is a great place for it to live. Miyako, do you have any other recommendations on where you would want to highlight that?
I would say libraries primarily will like use a dashboard or the carousel, like you pointed out. If it is a big resource, sometimes libraries will add a custom menu option. I would say those are like probably the three major spots.
And then the next question that we have is, can we change the content on our PowerPAC or does CCS have to do it? Miyako, do you mind taking this
It's
one?
not at all. I would say for most things, it's going to be a CCS thing. So the updating like the dashboards on the side or adding a brand new carousel, you will need to open a help desk ticket for CCS to make those updates. They are very quick updates for us to do. I would say less than one business day. The nice thing is once a carousel is displaying, if you adjust the contents in Leap using a record set, those content changes will automatically display.
All right, thank you. Next question. If a patron changes their password or username, can staff see what they've changed it to and what they are? And as follow-up, especially if the staff can't see this information, do we have the ability to reset it for them? Yes, we definitely have the opportunity to reset it from the Leap side. Miyako, are we able to see username and passwords from?
No, that is obscured, so we do not see that information.
But we are able to reset, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Along with username passwords, will everything reset when our patron records transfer over?
Do you mind if I take this one,
Go
Kiara?
for it. Thank
Um,
you.
Awesome. This is a really good question. So passwords, the ability to migrate passwords depends on like what your current ILS does and what we're able to grab from it. For Mount Prospect, a patron's existing password will migrate. For Waukegan, the existing passwords are not able to migrate. So during the data migration, the default password will be set to the patron's last 4 digits of their primary phone number.
Do patrons need to opt in? Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
No, go for it.
No, I was just going to say there are some really great questions on here that seem to be getting a little far kind of off of what our agenda is. So I'm just going to like thumbs up to mark them as stuff we will maybe touch on at the end if that's okay, Kiara.
Yes, for sure. And I'm going to talk about some of these things now. So let's jump in. So back to my account, we checked out what it looks like to change that login information. There are a few questions on there. If you have any more about that, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Next we have our account. So we're already here in my record. So we're going to go ahead and jump into reviewing what this has. Under my record, we could see the patron's name, library card number, username, all of the patron code information, everything from when they originally registered to when their registration will expire and when they were last active. If there are any messages for the patron, it'll pop up here. If we have contact, when we open up the contact information and preferences, we can see their home address and their email information, contact phone number. This would need to be changed by library staff, so they would need to come to you to change that. But they are able to make changes to their preferences. So if they want to change their language preference, how they would like to receive their receipts, and which is their preferred pickup library, they can choose any CCS library. They also opt in to maintain or to not maintain that reading history. So I know I saw a question of that. They can choose that here. And then they submit the request. Here we see the associated patrons, that anyone that may be connected through this account. So for example, we have the names and the list, and then if there are any blocks for this patron, we'll also block them, and can they pick up holds for that patron. And then lastly, we spoke about that logon. So if they need to change their username or password, they just have to remember to press save or it will not register. All right. So that was my record. Right below my record on this left side, we have items out. This displays the titles that are currently checked out to your library card, along with their individual due dates, how many renewals are left for this item, its call number, the assigned branch, the item's format, and this eye icon for more information. So if we open that up, we can see an explanation of like why this item was denied a renewal because this item was requested by another patron. We can also see how many were permitted and information on the day it was checked out and the day that it was due. Right? If you want to renew an item, this is where that happens. You simply select the item and click Renew Selected Items. Or if you're able to select all of them, you can just choose Renew All Items. Under Items Out, we have holds. Displayed here are the titles that are currently on hold for your patron. So it's a very similar layout to the Items Out page, but this time we also see a status page, a status column that shows us if our item is ready for pickup, if it has been shipped, if it has been requested. We also just want to make sure patrons are informed throughout this whole process so that they can see when they're going to get their items. We see their pickup library, the format, and again, that little icon. It shows us how long, if we click on the icon, it shows us how long the item will be held at the library. So this item will just be held through the 16th. And if a patron does not come to pick it up, then the item will be sent back or put back on the shelf. A few action items here. If you select an item, you can decide to change the pickup. Again, that can be any CCS library. If you select an item and decide that you would like to cancel it, so let's cancel this shipped, cancel selected, it'll bring us to this cancel request. Are you sure you want to cancel the following request? And their patron can decide to submit it. And then cancel requests do live in your account for 3 months, just in case you decide that you want to replace the hold. And lastly, if you want to pause or resume a hold, I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but you can select an item and choose pause, resume, and then add a new activation date for that. And we will touch on that in just a bit. All right, our next section is fines and fees. And this is where patrons will see any fines and fees that they may have accumulated. If they do have fees, depending on which service your library works with, your patrons may have the option to make payments directly on this page. We touched on reading history. A patron does have to opt in to be able to see their reading history if they decide, hey, I don't want this logged. They can scroll down and select change preferences here. And this will just prompt them back to that account page, my record, where they will uncheck reading history. Otherwise, it will log everything that they have checked out. And lastly here, we have saved searches. So this means that patrons can set up a search and have them run automatically once a week or once a month. Patrons also can run a saved search manually at any time. So each time a saved search is run, the search will pull a list of results that are new, so patrons have a fresh look at an updated list of items. So for example, I have one that's named cookbooks for kids, and I have it running monthly. Last thing here is our logout button. When your patron is all done managing their account, they can log out and be ready to go pick up their items. So I see some questions popping up. This is a good place to pause and let's take a look. All right.
So I think you answered the question about opting into reading history.
Yes. Did we cover associated patron?
We did not. I can answer that very briefly. We
Okay.
will be talking about that more at the CIRC training. An associated patron provides a link between two patron records that allows them to pick up each other's holds. They are not able to view each other's checkouts. It purely allows them to check out each other's holds.
Let's see. Are any checked out held e-materials shown in my account on PowerPAC? Yes. So let me hop back there. That is a great question. To items out, maybe holds. Oh, we don't have any here. Good question. Yes, they do show up. And here under this format, you would be able to see that it was an e-material.
There was a question from Patrick about in the My Account under like the address contact information section about clicking submit change request. How will that request appear on the staff end? That's a really good question. So we actually have this set up to where patrons are only able to change certain types of information on the PowerPAC. So they're able to change like their contact information, like phone number, email, or like Kiara pointed out, their notice preference. So things like that, once a patron clicks submit, it will just automatically make those changes. Other changes to like their address, we have those locked down, so it does require them to like interface with staff. Let's see. A question about pickup. If something is on hold at the main library, but they want to change it to the lockers while on hold, is that doable? And this is another thing that we kind of have locked down. Once an item is ready for pickup, the patron does need to like call or email the library to request that location change. Before the patron is able to change the pickup location before that item is held. Okay. Do you mind if I take the one about reading history too, Kiara?
Yes, go for it. I appreciate it.
So reading history will not migrate. We are not able to accurately get reading history data pulled from the your old ILS systems. If what should migrate, if a patron is currently collecting their reading history, they should automatically come over to Polaris as with the reading history option active. So as you're like data testing and looking at your accounts, please pay attention. That is one thing we definitely want to test to make sure that the like reading history active flag is
Mhm.
up.
Miko, there's another question on what type of notification do we receive if the patron changes their pickup location once it's ready? And or if it's already on the hold shelf at the original pickup location. And this is the patron would have to interface with staff, correct? Reach out
Correct.
and say that this is a change that they would like to make.
Correct.
Thank you. Can you see where the item is coming from when you have requested it? Do patrons have this view, Miko? I know that
Oh,
staff do.
staff do. I don't think patrons are able to see where the item comes from unless they're like really savvy and they go into that full list of like items and they're able to suss out which one. Um, so yes, I don't think that information. Oh, actually, Kiara, can you try something real quick?
Yes.
Can you click on that ready for pickup? Can you click that little I properties icon?
Oh,
Let's see. Status? No, I don't think it
this tells us.
says on there.
They might be able to tell when they get the actual item and see
Yeah, for
where it's
sure.
from, but not until they receive it. All right. Will the keep history option migrate?
So again, that should migrate. So definitely pay attention when you're looking at your record.
Will Waukegan patrons be able to pay online as well? Is this a consortium-wide thing?
Um, the libraries will um, decide and configure their online payment options individually. So I saw that Amy and Tiffany followed up with that question.
This is a great question, Miko. Do ILL requests show up under holds as well?
They do. They do. I cannot wait for ILL training so I can show you how to get those ILL requests to appear in the pack.
Right. If they misplace their library card, can a patron place a stop on their account?
They will need to contact the
Okay.
library.
All right. I think that got all of them. Did I miss anything, Miko? Did you notice?
I am scanning through and yeah, I think we got everything. It
If
was
we missed your
the question
question,
about,
go ahead.
okay,
Thank you for
I
those
think we're ready to
questions.
go on.
Thank you, Mieko, for answering them. If I missed anything, please feel free to copy and paste it back in the chat and we will cover it. Oh, I see one. If a patron fails to log on, will they be logged out when they leave the site?
That it might depend on whether they're using it at home or in the library. I know in the library there is like an automatic timeout. I want to say it's like default set at 5 minutes. Um, but we can check and verify on that. So I'm going to make a note.
Thank you. All right. So I will hop back on and demo how we will search and view results on our PowerPAC. So moving out from our My Account page and going from library info to catalog home, we are going to use this quick library search bar at the center of our page. We have the option to limit by all Mount Prospect materials. We can choose all physical materials. We can choose the South Branch, or we can choose to search all member libraries. So for now, let's do all Mount Prospect material and search for Pride and Prejudice. And then as you can see, as I'm typing, some suggestions will pop up. Oh, and it's not found. Okay, let me try it.
Of course, it's during the training
Right.
that everything decides to time out on us.
No. Miko, do you mind checking if you're able to get onto PowerPack?
Absolutely.
It looks like I might be back on.
I know our
There we go.
PAC site manager was doing some troubleshooting for us for a menu issue. So I wonder if that is happening simultaneously right now.
We are back on, so hopefully we're okay. But again, just confirming we're at that training site and we are back on Mount Prospect's home. We will do a quick library search for Pride and Prejudice. And there are a few things to see here. On the left-hand side, the first thing that I want to flag is the Save Search. This is what we talked about earlier. If a patron wants to create that ongoing list of items, they can click Save Search. Gonna log back in. So as a reminder, I had that cookbooks for kids. We can create a new search by adding a name, deciding how often we want to get a list of these new items. So you could choose weekly or monthly, and how many times you would like this to run. So if you want to receive this list 100 times, you decide that there. And then when you're all ready, you press Save Search. And this will appear over here where we see the Save Search box, and it'll list all of your saved searches where you can decide to run or delete. All right, I will hop back to our Pride and Prejudice results. All right, so on the left here as well, we can see that we can filter and narrow down our search. So we can select to only view things that are available right now. We can also select the format of what we're looking for. So we know that Pride and Prejudice is a book. There are movies, you can get a DVD, you can get a Blu-ray. You can decide to search that way. You can select target audience, reading level, literary form, and you can continue to filter down to whatever works best for you. And you can also search by assigned branch. So if you want to stay local, I only want to look at Mount Prospect items, you can choose to do that. We also have that selected here in the limit by. All right, so let's look at our record. So here we have Pride and Prejudice, and we see the title. We see the format of the item that we're looking for. We can see a little image, and below the image, you also see the format. We have a summary directly here on the results page so that the patron doesn't have to click on the whole record if they don't want to. On the right, we have this Find It button, and if we click on it, we're able to see exactly where the item is and what shelf location it lives on. We also see a status, so a patron can know that, oh, this one's out, but if I go to the library, this should be available right now. And again, we see that format. If your patron says, oh, I'm actually closer to Evanston Public Library right now, and I want to see if they have it, they can click that Open Other Branches, and they can see all of the libraries that have a copy available or checked out. So here's Evanston, and we can see all 3 of Evanston's DVDs are available. I could stop by and check those out. Next, there is this More Info button where patrons will click and be redirected to the full record site. And then we have a place hold. If your patron's like, this is all the information I need, I know this is what I want, I'm ready to place a hold, they can select that there. For now, let's go ahead and open More Info together. And we see all of these details listed out, everything from title, publisher, audience, subjects, genres that your patron can use to decide if this is what they want, and also to find other records that are similar to Pride and Prejudice. On the right here, they can see the place hold button once again. So if they've reviewed this information and they're ready, they can place a hold there. And they can share this search on their social media if they want to share this item record. If I click next up here at the top, this blue next, we will just be taken to the next record item so that we can continue reviewing our results without having to pop back to that main page. Scrolling down, there are a few things to see at the bottom of this record page. The first thing is that Find It again. You'll be able to see the same exact information, it's just also listed here. Then we have this explore summary and librarian recommendation. So we have a summary of the book and anything else that a librarian might think that you would enjoy because you enjoyed Pride and Prejudice. Next, you can open up the map it function. And this has not been working for me, Mieko, if we could take a look. But this should
Yeah,
show you. Go ahead.
I would say we're still configuring with
Perfect.
stack map, so hopefully soon.
So this will be a really cool map option where you are able to see all the libraries, all the CCS libraries that currently have an item. And then you would be able to click the library and see their address and their phone number. So you can contact them if you just want to call and double check that it's ready. Next, we have a large cover image. And lastly, we have that librarian view. All right, let's scroll back up. Say, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm ready to place a hold. And we would click place hold. So if your patron was already logged in, this would already just auto-populate and send them to the hold request. If they are not logged in yet, they will log on. And this is the hold request page. So a few things, we will be able to see part of our barcode, part of our library card number. Then we would see our pickup library and we could select and set it as a default. So always pick up at Mount Prospect. Whenever you check out or request to hold an item, you'll be able to change that if you wanted to. And then an activation date. So if you want your hold to be ready by a certain date, or if you want to pause it so that it's not ready until that date or after, then you can select that there. And then you would submit request. And then we get this confirmation that your request has been placed. So you have a few options. You can go back to searching, find more things, or you could go to your list of hold requests. So we are going to do that so we can take a look at what our holds are looking like. So again, we just placed a hold request for Pride and Prejudice, and we can see that our status is locating as of today, the 10th. The pickup library is Mount Prospect. We have requested the DVD, and any details will be processed here. Okay, I'm going to pause, take a look at questions.
And Kiara, I wanted to say that I mixed up my mappets. I automatically thought about the stack map mappets, which I think Becca R. Uh, pointed that out in a future comment. So there is the map it that's tied to Google Maps that show you where the different libraries are, and that will be configured. And then there is also the stack map integration, which allows you to see where individual copies are within a specific library. And we are working with stack map to get that set up for Mount Prospect.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, so questions. I think the first one I see is, do nonfiction records show call numbers?
And I've been chatting answers too
Oh,
during, I
perfect.
hope everyone's been
So
seeing them.
if they're there, I can read it. Let's see. Did you answer that one?
I did.
All right. So users can see the item's call number when looking at the list of copies. We don't display bib level call number since everyone's is different. Take a look. Thank you for answering these questions in the chat, Miko. I appreciate that.
Me too.
Anything I can cover that we haven't?
Let's see.
Do patrons have the option to view WorldCat items and make their own ILL requests to the pack? And you answered there is a WorldCat integration available, but it doesn't work well, so none of our libraries currently use that option, and we'll be reviewing options with project leads during this configuration period. Beautiful. All right. Do you feel like I can move on, Mieko?
Yeah.
Okay, please
Um,
stop me at any
I
point.
s- oh, sure. I see
Go
one
ahead.
more stack map
Go for it.
question. With stack map, does it show where the item is located in the library or the libraries in CCS that have it? So an individual library does have to like have their own like stack map subscription. If a library has a stack map subscription, you will be able to like click a little like rabbit icon when looking at um, a list of copies, and then it will like pull up a map of your library. Um, and I'm gonna chat Tiffany here.
Perfect. Well, then I will jump into holds management. So let's take a look back at our account. We will press on our name. So this patron sample will show your patron's name. We will go down to holds. And like we've noticed before, we can easily place holds from our search results. Once you're logged in, you'll just be prompted to select those activation dates and that pickup library information. Now that we have been redirected back to our holds page, we can review those holds, make sure that we have everything that we're waiting on, and see that status. If a patron decides that they would like to pause their hold until a later date, they can select it, come down to these options, and press pause/resume holds. So this will keep you on the hold list, but it will not send you the item until you're actually ready to pick it up or until after the date that you input here. So if you decide that I will not be ready to pick this up until the end of the month, you can add that here and press submit. And I apologize, my internet is moving a little slower. All right. If your patron does decide, once we get this through, oh no, it locked me out. I think there is some work going on, Mieko. I apologize. All right. I'm just heading back to our account, going to my holds, and choosing to pause or resume this until the end of the month and pressing submit. So we get this change hold request. Activation date is now set to July 30th. You press OK, and we would see this paused status, and it'll tell us what date it'll be restarted. If you decide, hey, I'm actually, let's say, back from vacation, I don't need to wait until the 30th, I can click. I can choose this pause/resume again and choose a new date. So actually, I will be ready for it, let's say on the 15th. You press submit, and you get that same activation date reset notification. All right. The other thing we can do here is we can select an item and choose, hey, I don't want this anymore. I'm ready to cancel it. I maybe went out and I bought Pride and Prejudice for myself. So I will press submit, and then it'll show as canceled. As I mentioned before, I believe this stays on your account for 3 months. So if you decide to change it or you want to just keep a record of things that you have canceled, that'll be there. Also mentioned before, but if you decide to change your pickup location before it's actually shipped to the library or is sitting on the hold shelf, you can do that here. And that is how your patrons will manage their holds. So I will pause and look for any more questions. So what happens with a hold that is not able to be filled by any library? Um, Mieko, do you want to take?
Sure. I
Thank you.
yes. Um, if a hold is not able to be filled by any library, the patron will the hold will go into a like an unfillable status. CCS provides reports to identify these requests. There's also a tool in Leap where staff can like go and look for new requests there to just kind of monitor things that aren't able to be filled.
What happens if, oh, I'm sorry, if ready for pickup hold is canceled, would the library be notified?
Um, they will not be notified, but again, the request will appear in like a holds to action report, and it will also appear in the library's pick list as like holds on your hold shelf that need to be actioned.
Does show expired holds on this holds page?
Um, it will show canceled holds for a period, but it will not show expired holds. And like we have a very generous, I think during COVID, we expanded it to be like 2 years before a hold goes into expired status. So it's a very generous threshold for expired holds. But once and I should also say like Polaris speak when we talk about expired holds. Okay, that's what I was just about to ask.
Mhm.
Expired as in they missed the pickup date. The request will remain on the patron's hold list. Once the library pulls that hold, we call it unclaimed holds. Once the library pulls that unclaimed hold and checks it in, the hold will go into a canceled status. And I am blanking right now. I know we will definitely review this at the CERC training, and I will not forget
Okay.
that point.
So yes, there are a few questions on that. Can we pause the holds on Leap? Yes, staff can pause holds for patrons on Leap. And you learn how to do that in Intro to Leap trainings. For those who have ILL service, can patrons request their own holds? So I believe that they would not be doing that through PowerPAC, correct, Mieko?
Yeah, there is an integration available. It is weird, so none of our libraries currently use it. So we will be reviewing the options with your library leads in this configuration stage.
All right. So I have the next 10 minutes, next 12 minutes for questions. So please feel free if you have any more questions about anything that we covered or if we missed a question in the chat, please feel free to enter those or come off mute and share those with us. We can support.
Just a strange question for the two of you. It seems like we're gonna still from the Mount Prospect website, we're still gonna keep many of the links. We'll still be hyperlinking back to the current site. Yeah.
Yes, so any of the links that your library is choosing to still have like displayed, it'll be on your website, but also hyperlinked on the catalog, correct?
Ooh, this is a good question from Patrick. Are the requests they submit here item specific, or will the hold request go to any CCS library that has a copy of the title? When you place holds through the PowerPAC, they are all title level holds. Or if we're talking about like magazines, they'll be volume level holds. So the patron could pick out, like spring 2024. But yes, nothing from the pack is going to be item specific. And then a question about what's Boolean. That is just a search mode, basically using like and, or, and not logic to create a search string.
I had a quick question relating to when we're doing a hold request and it goes to any CCS library. In general, about how long can we tell a patron that it may take to get here? Is there like a nice thing for us to usually say?
Um, so Rails manages the delivery. I would say they are pretty efficient. So holds can get there as quickly as a couple business days. Like I would say 3 to 5 business days is generally a comfortable estimate if there is a copy like on shelf at the time.
We have a
That
question.
brings up, yeah, oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. We have a question on PowerPack accessibility standards and how it's meeting those standards.
I think those are such valid questions and concerns. Um, I don't feel like I'm qualified to answer that, so I do want to pick up some information for you, F. Um, so any of these questions that are like still pending, I will once we like gather the answers, I will share it with your project leads during one of our weekly check-in calls, and then they can distribute it to staff in whatever way works best.
Thank you, Mieko. The next question is it easier to search through Leap or PowerPack? And I think that I would say that this is completely up to preference. I worked at a CCS library before coming to CCS, and I personally preferred searching when a patron was in front of me, I preferred searching on PowerPack. But if I was in the back and searching for something for myself, I could take a little more time with filters. I would prefer Leap. Mieko, what do you prefer?
You know what? I started off training in Leap, so for me, that's like my go-to.
Hmm.
Um, so I 100% agree. It's whatever
Yeah.
you prefer and whatever you're more comfortable with.
And whatever I see a comment on whatever the circumstance of what you're trying to accomplish is. Exactly. Great answer. If the home library item is checked out, can the hold go automatically to other libraries? Yes. So PowerPack will try to fill it first with your home library, but if your home library does not have it, then they will branch out to other ones. When a patron registers for a library card online, does it automatically generate a library card and account, or do they have to send that request to the library?
I'm going to answer this one because I am actually working with Mount Prospect right now for online registration. So there is a built-in online registration in the PowerPack. Um, it does automatically generate a library card and account, and it gives a temporary card number that starts with like pack reg and then some numbers. Um, so it does automatically generate a temporary card number. It builds an account, like a skeleton account for the patron, and then it sends an email notification to the library.
Next question, do all CCS libraries have automatic renewals?
Yes. Um, Back in 2017, this is actually something that we voted on as a group to enable automatic renewals for everyone.
Question about the library recommends feature. Where does this information come from? Is it showing the web list of the item it is part of, or just the home libraries list? This is from Elizabeth.
That might depend on how the library set up that particular feature. So I think if we look at the Power Pack, was that one of the dashboard or web parts on the homepage?
I believe that was
Oh, we're talking about results.
this page. Librarian recommends.
Oh, yeah, that comes from Novelist.
Can patrons check out e-material with the temp barcode and access online resources?
Ooh, I'm going to tackle this one and the next question because they're both about those temporary cards. Um, that depends on how the library configures their online registration. So hold those questions for now, because once the library determines how they want to get things set up, we'll be able to answer those.
For sure. Hop on.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, lovely. Thanks. I have a question about navigation, and this is because I've run into this before when using PowerPAC. So if you do a search and you're in the search results, I don't think, at least I haven't seen, like a one-click option for going back to the catalog homepage where you do the quick search. I think it's only like if you click on library info and then catalog home, which to me is just like not super intuitive. Do we have the option to have a one click like return to home or something like that?
You you do, and I believe both libraries are going to configure the menu to where there's a catalog home button. So that troubleshooting work that we were talking about Innovative potentially doing is related to the menu. For some reason, the menu file, any customization to the menu file is not being reflected on the actual PAC site. So right now, those menu options that you see are not going to be the end result.
Got it. Thanks.
We have about 5 minutes left. Any more questions that we can help answer, or if you want to stay on afterwards, please feel free.
So we have another question about Boolean. So again, this just a different type of search mode that the patron has access to. So Kiara, could you just like click into search and then there should be or the search drop-down menu.
Yes. Where does that come up?
On the top menu, like right next to the My
Oh, right
Account.
here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then if you click on that, you can kind of see. So here, if a patron is like savvy enough at searching, they can craft their own Boolean search. So they can say like star and wars, and that will get you results that has like stuff that has both star and wars in the title. Or they could say like Da Vinci, not code, and it will get you results with Da Vinci, but nothing with Da Vinci Code, if that makes sense.
Right now we have an option to just view ebooks and materials. Can we add this feature? So, are we speaking about maybe in this section where we see view physical materials, adding a view ebooks?
Yeah, something like that. Like right now, whenever we do a search, it pops up at the top where it says show everything. I think ebooks, and it might say physical materials on top of that. So for people who just search those things, that might be an option.
But the thing is,
Yeah.
probably looking at the
So
iceberg.
that list is customizable by library. So if you are interested in, or if you like want to suggest adding an option for your limit by dropdown, talk with your library project teams, and they can submit a request and we can configure customization.
All right, I want to leave the opportunity for one last question if we have anything that you want to share with the whole group. And if not, you can stay on afterwards. As a reminder, I will be sending an email with that attendance sheet. So please complete that so we know that you were here. And I will be sharing the link to the YouTube page with this recording for you to review. Thank you so much for being here. Please hop on if you have questions.